Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Max, and as you just saw, today we are going to be installing and reviewing an ambient light set that was just sent to me for my Tesla Model 3. Ever since the Highland refresh, I've been really into the idea of adding ambient lighting because I think it looks great on that new version of the car. So I was really excited to get this product as it's something that I've been shopping for myself for some time. This particular set was sent to me by Tesla accessory company Yeslak, so first of all, thank you very much for sending that to me. Yeslak has a ton of different Tesla accessories, so it's definitely worth checking them out. I'll include a link to their website and a product link to what we're actually going to review today in the description below, so definitely click on that if you're interested. And Yeslak actually sent me a few other things that I'm going to review on this channel, not just the ambient lighting, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you're interested in that content, or really anything else that I'm featuring on this channel, please hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting this channel and ensuring that I can continue to make content like you're watching today. All right, so let's get into the unboxing and see what comes with this light kit. All right, we got a nice little thank you letter with a QR code so that we can take a look at the installation video that I'll definitely be watching since I know that this is a little bit more involved than my typical installs. Getting into the packaging itself, we have some wiring connectors. It looks like this might feed power to the different lights. We'll have to see in the install video. We have what looks like a strip of the LED lighting. I'm not sure where this one will exactly go, but we'll have to see again when we watch the instruction video. We have another longer strip of the LED lighting. This one probably is for the dash. Some additional lighting is in here as well with more cables to connect to a power source. Here we have our module. This is definitely what's going to wire into your car that's going to splice out and give this lighting power. It's very similar to what I had to do for those multifunction buttons that I reviewed a few weeks ago. So definitely know how this part will work. So interested to see how that's all going to fit underneath the panel. So we'll need that. And I'm guessing this QR code here, that's typically for the app that you use to control the light. So you want to make sure that you scan that and get that app on your phone prior to doing your install. And then finally, we have our tools to get these in. It looks like we have a couple of zip ties, 2 plastic crowbars, which will be used to pop panels on and off of your Tesla to access the wiring within. And then we have a couple of screwdrivers. They look like one's a flathead and one's a hex. So definitely a little bit more of an intensive install than usual. So this is probably more of an intermediate install, but I'll talk all about that after I do my install, which I'll get on camera shortly. But yeah, that's all there really is to this box, and all there is quite a lot. So from here, let's move on to the actual interesting part of this video, which will be me installing this on my Model 3 so you can see how that process goes and then show off how it looks and review everything thereafter. So let's get into that. So like I showed in the unboxing, Yeslak did include that sheet that links to a video that shows how to install this product, but I did deviate from that in certain areas that I'll highlight. And also there were parts of the install that weren't included in the video, and I'll talk about those as well as we go through the process. The first step is to run that long dash light cable along the seam within the dash in between the air vents. The video install shows this run to have adhesive on one side of the light strip, but mine did not. However, the seam that you're feeding this in is plenty tight to hold this without it, so there was no issue with installing it without the adhesive. But if you do happen to have adhesive on yours, make sure that it's facing up during your install. I used the little plastic crowbar that came with the kit to pry the seam enough to feed in the light strip, and then slowly work that so it went as far to the right as possible against that air vent on that side, and then all the way along into the seam in the dash using the crowbar as I went to feed that in until it reached the vent on the driver's side. Once you reach all the way to the driver's side, you can feed the cable along the seam to the panel that is typically covered by the door. And then from here, you run it into the seam underneath the panel below the steering wheel. I consistently used a crowbar as I went here to make sure that the crevice was at least pulled apart enough for the wire to feed in, or else push the wire in and out of sight as I did this part of the install. Continue to follow the leather seam around your middle console and feed it until the end of the cable reaches the rear air vents. Next, we install the center light that goes right above the phone charging pads. This one did have an adhesive strip, so of course remove the covering for that and make sure it's facing up. And this was honestly by far the easiest part of the install. Just press it in the seam above the charging panels, and then the same as you ran the last wire, run it along the leather seam along the middle console, but on the opposite side. Again, use your tool to press the wire so it's out of sight, and this should end up in the back rear vent, the same but on the opposite side as your first run. Finally, we need to run the center console line. this presses into the seams that are all along your middle console, and this wiring setup is more like a loop, so make sure you're centering that around there so that the end wires that actually plug in are perfectly centered in the bag. So this is the part of the install that had no instruction and nothing in the online video to show me how to do this. So I was kind of guessing, although it was pretty self-explanatory. It was also the most difficult part of the install because I really struggled to press that into the crevices along the car, and honestly did not get a flush fit into the corners, as you can see in the shot that I'm presenting now. However, I did get it good enough and had the wire situated in the back by the rear vents so that everything was lined up and we were able to move on to the wiring stage of this process. Now, when it comes to the wiring, first you're going to want to use the crowbar to pop off the rear vent and run all of your wire connections into that area, into that open space. Then go below that vent and remove the panel under there as well. Here you'll see a blue power connection. You want to disconnect this and wire in the splitter that comes with this kit. Once this is wired into your blue connection, feed the split off wire up through the panel so it pops up in the open space where the air vent that you just exposed is. Now this is going to be a tight fit no matter what, but it was especially tight for me because I already have a module down there. So you're really going to want to make sure that you do some good cord management when you're hooking this up and putting it away so that your panel snaps back on and you get a nice clean finish and it snaps on correctly and flush like it was when it came out of the factory. Now with the back panel back on, you're going to want to wire everything together using the provided module. Make sure you scan the QR code on that before you plug it all in and cover it back up, because that is going to be the direct download for your app. I made sure to do this before I plugged everything in, and then you just attach the connections into this module. Now, this presented a little bit of a complication for me because the directions say line up the sticker labels with the labels on the module, but they're all in another language for me, and honestly, not all of them matched up perfectly to what was on the module. Now, I was able to figure it out by closely watching the video and also looking at what fit into where. The most important thing is that your power cable is in the appropriate outlet, and as you can see, that once I got everything plugged in, the lights began lighting up immediately. And with that, the final step was just organizing the wires within that open vent space so that you can snap over the vent panel, and that also lines up nice and flush. And with that last step, we were done with the install and we were able to start using our lights. The app automatically synced to the Bluetooth as soon as I powered it up, giving me immediate full control of the lighting, and here's how it looked. So what do I think of this accessory and the install process overall? Well, to start with, it is definitely the most intensive install that I've done by far. While I wouldn't say it's technically complicated, getting the wire into those crevices properly, feeding it in, getting it to stay, especially in the dash and the middle console area, was pretty difficult, and honestly, I was breaking a sweat about halfway through the process. You really have to be patient because it can be pretty frustrating trying to fit everything in correctly and making sure that it looks good. I was honestly most worried about the popping the panels off and wiring part, but that was by far the most stress-free part of the install. It was pretty easy. The panels come on and off easily. Plugging it in is pretty easy. Getting those light strips to be where they needed to be in the car and to hide those wires away, that's the most difficult part of the install and definitely takes a lot of patience. And what further makes it difficult is the install video is okay at best and definitely leaves some things out. I personally would have definitely preferred having a written out set of English directions just so I could follow step by step and triple check my work, but all the same, I was able to make it work with the video. And if you're interested in this product, not only do you have that video, but you also have the one that you're watching right now that will show you how to do this, and happy to answer any questions if you post them in the comments if you happen to do this install and run into any issues. So as far as looks are concerned, I love the way the dash light looks and I love the light underneath the screen. I think it looks a lot like the Highland Refresh update and gives me that aesthetic that I'm looking for, making the car look a little bit more modern and futuristic. Now the center console light, I'm not completely sold on, and honestly I think this is mostly because I was not able to get those corners to press in all the way, so it's definitely way more noticeable than the dash and the screen light, which you can't even tell are there if they're not already on. I potentially might cut away some of the width of the wire so that it fits more flush, and then maybe I'll be more into keeping it. But the one nice thing about this wiring set, because they are all separate runs, I can always disconnect that one and stick with just the dash and the screen light if that's the aesthetic that I prefer. But we'll see. I'm definitely gonna keep it all for a little bit longer, and overall love the look and I love the different colors. Which brings us to functionality, and I have to say everything works great. The dash and the screen lights actually sync together, so when I'm running different colors or effects, they by default are always matched up, with the center console running on its own control, which is kind of nice. You can have different lighting effects if you want, or different colors. A really nice feature and added flexibility there. And as far as lighting and colors are concerned, you can pick any color that you think of, and they have a ton of effects. Most of them are a little bit loud for what I would keep in the car on a regular basis. Lots of flashy party lights. My daughter loves them, but not something I would necessarily drive around with all the time. But being able to pick a nice solid color is something that I think looks great, and again, adds to the modern look. The app is super easy to use. Once you install it, it connects by default as soon as you have that module wired in. So definitely great functionality, all things considered. So yeah, all in all, I'm a pretty big fan of these lights. I'm definitely gonna keep them in the car, albeit potentially removing the middle console one if I can't press it more in so it's not as noticeable. It really does give me that modern aesthetic that I was looking for and that was so jealous of when I saw them announce the Model 3 Highland. So yeah, I would recommend this product to really anyone who's looking to get that look but might have a Tesla that was purchased before that feature was readily available in their vehicle. I would again say that this is probably somewhat of an intermediate difficulty in terms of install, but as long as you remain patient and take your time with it, it's really not too bad. It's really just a matter of getting everything to fit correctly and to have all the wires stay out of sight. If you take your time, it's definitely a doable install for anyone. But yeah, that's all I really had today. Again, if you're interested in this product or anything that Yeslak has to offer, definitely check them out. They got a lot of great stuff. Those links will again be in the description below, so hit those if you're interested. And I'm also very curious to see what you all think. Do you think these look good? What are your takes on the different colors? Is it worth keeping something like this? Or would you only want to have ambient lighting if it came with the car by default? Definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you did like this video and you want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.